YouTube, what is going YouTube? YouTube, what is going on? It's Narrow Talk 23. I'm back with another video. We got another one of these wicked streets of Chicago episodes. We got the second one, the story of Tyshawn Lee. Let's get straight into it.
Tyshawn Lee was a 9-year-old boy that was savagely gunned down in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood in the city of Chicago. To every story, there's a backstory to help you further understand why things happen. These are the stories of the wicked streets of Chicago.
The two men convicted of executing 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee will be locked up behind bars for decades.
How many men?
Shantina Burpo was standing on the corner of 79th and Wood with 5 GDs when she ended up being shot in a drive-by. Taylor is a member of the Terror Dome faction of the Black P. Stones. Prosecutors allege he was seen in the front passenger seat of a dark-colored sedan that was the source of gunfire that hit Burpo as she stood with members of the Killer Ward faction of the Gangster Disciples in the 7900 block of South Wood Street. Assistant State's Attorney Jamie Santini said witnesses saw the driver lean back as Taylor raised the shotgun, pointed it in the direction of Burpo and the others, and fired. Burpo was struck in the abdomen and died at Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oaklawn. Taylor, who goes by the street name Gotti, fled in the sedan, but months later, a witness came forward and identified Taylor as the shooter, Santini said. As police continued their investigation, more people started coming forward and picking Taylor out in the photo array. Tyshawn was killed November 2nd. Taylor fled to Springfield and was recently arrested there. Shantina wasn't the intended target. She was a victim of circumstances. Be that as it may, this would heighten a bloody war. On August 5th, 2015, Adarius Hayes, a member of New Money, ended up being killed on 75th and Damon. Allegedly, this was also Bang Bang Gang. Hayes was in the 7500 block of South Damon Avenue about 6 o'clock a.m. Wednesday when he was shot in the chest. Hayes was pronounced dead on the scene at 6:55 a.m., according to the medical examiner's office. On October 13th, 2015, a well-known member from the Bang Bang Gang, Black P. Stones, would end up being killed, and his mother would end up being wounded. A parolee was fatally shot on the south side after leaving a meeting run by the Chicago police and other law enforcement officials that is intended to steer gang members out of jail, authorities said. Tracy Morgan, 25, and his mother were shot Tuesday night after she picked him up from the gang call-in at the Friendly Temple Church of God in Christ, located at 7745 South State Street in the Chatham neighborhood. Police think that another vehicle followed their car and that someone inside opened fire in the 8200 block of South Lafayette Avenue, about a mile from the church. Morgan was wounded in the abdomen and taken to Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oaklawn, where he was pronounced dead at 9:27 p.m., according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. His mother, 55, was treated at the hospital for a wounded arm. Detectives were investigating if Morgan, a reputed member of the Terror Dome faction of the Black P. Stones, was targeted by a rival gang member.
Bro, it's one thing to shoot the person you trying to shoot, but if you shooting their family members, bro, that's like his mom getting shot, people's mom dying, like they don't have nothing to do with it. Leave them out of it.
Who also attended the meeting, police said. No one was in custody as of Thursday afternoon. Morgan was paroled from prison last year for a felony gun conviction, according to the Illinois Department of Corrections. The call-ins are a key strategy used by the police department in its efforts to reduce violence in Chicago. While it's still unclear if the meeting was directly connected to Morgan's death, Chicago police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi called his slaying a tragedy. A reputed member of a faction of the Gangster Disciples street gang.
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best, you gotta try Kachava. Kachava is the world's healthiest all-in-one meal shake.
Khalil Yamin has been charged in the deadly gang-related shooting of Tracy Morgan.
Why is he
After Yamin and another man killed Tracy Morgan and wounded Morgan's mother in 2015, Morgan's brother Corey sought revenge. Enraged that his brother was killed and his mama was shot as a part of a feud between rival gangs, Corey Morgan proclaimed that he was going to kill grandmas, mamas, kids, and all.
According to prosecutors.
Just a couple days later, on October 18th, 2015, Breonna Jenkins would end up being killed, and a member from New Money would end up being wounded. Unfortunately, Breonna Jenkins was at the wrong place at the wrong time. 19-year-old Breonna Jenkins was killed, and a 20-year-old man was injured in a shooting that happened about 4:25 p.m. October 18th, 2015. The two were sitting in a vehicle when a gunman walked up and opened fire, killing her and hospitalizing him. On a very nice Monday afternoon, Tyshawn Lee sat on a swing, swinging to himself, when a guy would approach him and pick up his basketball. The guy would begin to dribble his basketball and talk to him to gain trust. Shortly after, the guy would lure Tyshawn to an alley and kill him.
We believe that Tyshawn was targeted, lured to this spot, and murdered.
It would later come out that Tyshawn Lee was killed because Corey Morgan felt like the Killer Ward GDs had something to do with his brother being killed and his mother being shot. Tyshawn's father, P.L. Stokes, or Woody is most known on the streets, is a well-known member from the New Money GDs. And once the Bang Bang Gang couldn't find him, they found his son.
Bro, come on, bro.
After they would find Tyshawn, they would do the unthinkable.
I'm hurt. My son got killed, so it's like, I don't know, gang. I don't know unless somebody come tell me something. So I can't be corrected with something I don't know.
What happened is that Sean Lee took us to a new low.
But that's
This wasn't
sad.
a drive-by. This was not a spray of bullets. A baby was executed. A baby was assassinated right behind us in this alley.
9-year-old Tyshawn Lee was still in his school uniform when he told his grandmother that he loved her and raced across the street to a Chicago park with his basketball. 2 of 3 men accused of killing the 4th grader in a case that shocked the city were waiting for him. Prosecutor Margaret Hillman said during the opening statements in their trial on Tuesday, they were armed and ready to lure the boy to his death in what Hillman said was a revenge killing meant to settle a gang feud. Defendants D. Wright Dottie and Corey Morgan are being tried together, but before separate jurors. Getaway driver Kevin Edwards pleaded guilty this month in exchange for a 25-year sentence. In August, Morgan's brother Anthony was sentenced to 4 years in prison for buying the gun used to kill Tyshawn. Hillman said Dottie and Morgan, reputed members of the Black P. Stone Nation Bang Bang Gang, or BBGs, that day were looking to exact revenge for the killing of Morgan's brother and wounding of his mother 1 month earlier by members of the rival Gangster Disciples Killer Ward group. Shooting Morgan's mother was beyond the pale, Hillman said in her opening. There weren't many rules in this feud, but families were off limits. They were untouchable. Tyshawn's father, Pierre Stokes, is accused of belonging to the Killer Ward faction. Morgan's brother, Tracy, was shot and killed in a car while with their mother in October 2015, the prosecutor said. This made Morgan mad, Hillman said. He wasn't just mad, he was in a murderous rage, saying he was going to kill grandmas, mamas, kids, and whoever he could catch. Morgan and Edwards allegedly sought out to find a Killer Ward member to avenge the death, Hillman said. When they couldn't find Pierre Stokes, they found 9-year-old Tyshawn, a 4th grader who had nothing to do with any of this gang nonsense, Hillman said. In Dawes Park, Dottie approached Tyshawn and talked to him, and even played basketball to gain his trust, Hillman said. He picked up the basketball and lured the boy to an alley as Morgan and Edwards watched from a black SUV, according to the prosecutor. D. Wright Dottie took out a .40 caliber handgun and he executed Tyshawn in broad daylight. An autopsy of Tyshawn's body showed 2 perforating gunshot wounds, and part of his right thumb was lost as a defensive wound trying to block a gunshot, according to court papers. The boy's body had a gunshot wound to the head, a bullet grazed wound to his right upper back, and a superficial wound to the right forearm. The death of Tyshawn Lee will bring national attention as world leaders and entertainers will come abroad to his funeral. The funeral was hosted at Father Flager's church, St. Sabina, and he will speak out about the situation.
We have double-digit unemployment in America, and if we're part of America, then treat us like the rest of America.
It had been a long time since such tragedy had been announced coming out of Chicago, where a 9-year-old little boy got shot, and it wasn't an accident, and where he was actually targeted. This was beyond sick. This was downright demonic. And the Chicago police, the mayors, the government, all type of law enforcement agencies will begin to look into the case of Tyshawn Lee. The death of Tyshawn Lee will bring a lot of attention to the neighborhood, and it will cause the cops to blanket the neighborhood and ride all day and all night. This would affect any business that was going on in the streets. Eventually, 4 people would go down in connection with the death of Tyshawn Lee: Corey Morgan, Dwight Dottie, Anthony Morgan, and getaway driver Kevin Edwards. Anthony Morgan will be convicted and given 4 years for purchasing a gun out of New Mexico. Allegedly, 5 of his guns that were purchased were found, and 3 of them had bodies on them. Kevin Edwards would cop out to a 25-year sentence. Corey Morgan will be given 65 years in prison. And Dwight Dottie, the trigger man, will be given 90 years. Within a couple of hours after charges had been publicly filed, Pierre Stokes will run into the girlfriend of Corey Morgan and her 2 nephews. Allegedly, he would open fire on them, hitting all 3 of them. They will suffer injuries from gunshot wounds, but nobody would die.
As you know, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office has charged Pierre Stokes with 3 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm, 3 counts of an attempt murder, and 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon by a felon in connection with the March 8th shooting of 3 people on Chicago's South Side.
Now I think that what we can learn from the story of Tyshawn Lee is this. When you in the streets, you gang banging, and you decide to pull that trigger and catch your first body, keep it in the back of your mind. When you take this life, this can possibly get your son killed, your daughter killed, your mother killed, your sister killed, your brother killed, any one of your friends or loved ones. Because you never know what's on the next man's mind. You may do something to hurt somebody else. You may not be around to receive the wrath from what you did. And it may fall on someone that you may love. Also, you should further remember that once you pull that trigger, everybody that's around you and everybody that's in your gang are subject to the same rules. And their families are as well. It's not you did it, it's y'all did it. That's how it's looked at. So just know what y'all out here doing in these streets. And we have to have sense enough to leave the family members of others out of these situations. Rest in peace, Tyshawn Lee. Condolences to the family. This has been another episode of Wicked Streets of Chicago. It's your boy, SNTV.
YouTube, that was a good video. That was a sad video, YouTube. They took this man's son just because of what he was doing in the streets. See, this is why you shouldn't even be doing stuff like that, because you don't know what people think do to you or your family members, stuff like that. Like, who wants their son to be killed because of what they've done? Like, come on now. But if you like the video, YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Get me to 1,000 subscribers. Run them likes up. Turn on that post notification bell. I'm out, YouTube.